Welcome to Out of the World, and in this episode you're joining me in Asia
for an entirely new chapter of our world trip. Because before you saw us traveling around Australia and Southeast Asia, and now we just took a plane out of Singapore to see South Asia. We're in Sri Lanka, and in the first chapter I'll take you to the beautiful south. We're gonna discover the South Coast with the most beautiful beaches and sights. Let's go.
Previously, we already gave you some wonderful tips about Langkawi in Malaysia. From there we also took a boat to tiny paradise island Koh Lipe in the south of Thailand. We traveled down south to Johor Bahru, where we crossed the border to Singapore. We turned the City of Wonders inside out and discovered a lot of different cultures on the way. Now we say goodbye and head to the airport for the start of a new adventure. We embark on a 4-hour flight over the Indian Ocean and can already see Sri Lanka's beaches from the sky when we arrive.
Sri Lanka, baby!
From the airport we book a taxi on the Pick Me app, the Sri Lankan version of Uber. It works like a charm and it's super cheap. We pay only around $5 for a 10-kilometer drive.
We're here! This is Sri Lanka and we're in Negombo to be precise. It was only a 25-minute drive by taxi van over here, and this is the hotel called Wood Nest where we'll be staying for a couple of days before the adventure starts. I love it already!
Give me love, give me all your love, oh 'cause I want you. No one else makes me feel this way, don't know what you do.
Time to explore the neighborhood from the rooftop.
Hold my hand, look me in the eyes. You and me, yeah, that's all.
Negombo is a historic fishing town and a popular starting point for trips across Sri Lanka.
I'll be right here, I swear that I'll stay here with you. Hold me.
Next to some nice restaurants, great hotels and fish markets, the city has a lot of colonial history too. It's even called Little Rome because it still has around 40 Catholic churches.
Leave your side. Be who you are and you'll be enough. If you're giving me your love, giving me your love. All that we have is each other now. Promise you won't leave my side. I hope who I am is enough for you. If I'm giving you my love, giving you my love, love.
So let me just show you guys the room. It's only $25 a night and what you get is quite spacious and luxurious for that price. We'll be staying here for 3 days until our friends arrive with whom we're gonna make a trip all around Sri Lanka. So we're gonna just sit back, relax and wait for them and then head for the adventure.
I can be here with you.
Not bad, eh?
Everything's alright. I'll be right here. I swear that I'll stay here with you. Hold me closer. I wanna stay here with you.
the mornings it's quite lovely to wake up next to this little river, because at breakfast it's already a zoo out here. We see a lot of monitor lizards and some aquatic birds. It's really nice to see every animal that goes by here.
Giving me your love. All that we have is each other now. I promise I won't leave your side. I hope who I am is enough.
The Asian water monitors that swim here every morning can get up to 2.5 meters long. We also see Asian open-bill storks, water hens, and white-throated kingfishers.
Give me love, give me all your love, give me all your love. Give me love, give me all your love, give me all your love. Give me love, give me all your love, give me all your love.
So this is also what the weather can be like here in Sri Lanka. It's pouring. I'm standing here in the rain because my friends are coming from the Netherlands. We've been planning this for months, and they texted that they arrived at the Colombo airport and they're on their way with the taxi. So we're gonna have a great reception over here, and they'll join us around Sri Lanka and also to the Maldives. So I'm very excited, even though it's raining. And yeah, let's go on the adventure. Almost there! Negombo was the perfect starting point to our trip in Sri Lanka. We had some lovely days here at the riverside, but now it's time to go on the real adventure, which will be the South Coast, and this minivan is gonna take us to Ahangama. Let's go!
Driving around Sri Lanka is a wonderful experience. Back in 2016, before the kids, we did it before using only local buses. And you really don't know what you see on the way. The roads are very scenic, colorful, and super adventurous.
So we arrived at the south coast of Sri Lanka, and over here there are so many options to stay, and it's also where most of the tourists eventually go on their holidays to Sri Lanka. We chose a place called Ahangama, and I hadn't even heard of this because it's still kind of off the beaten track and a hidden gem. I love it over here.
Oh, and did I mention that some of Sri Lanka's best beaches stretch here for dozens of kilometers? The town of Ahangama is cozy but very lively, and we have a great little lodge over here in the Green Hills.
So let me show you our wonderful villa in Ahangama. We have this side, and my friends sleep over there on that side. We have a gigantic pool here in the middle. The sun is shining already, so we're in paradise for 5 days on the south coast of Sri Lanka. I'll show you the room.
Give me a reason to get out of bed.
On our side of the Ahangama Eco Villa, we have this truly incredible apartment for only 30 bucks a night.
Or maybe two. 'Cause yesterday I lost control and said some things I felt that you should know.
What did I tell you? This isn't too bad at all. We have a king-size bed on that side, we have enough space for the kids over there on that side, and this is just one part of the villa. Our friends have the other side, and in the middle we have a hangout and a kitchen and everything. And I can't wait to take a jump in that pool because it's bloody hot over here. I'm loving it.
Let them sweep away. Woo! There'll be another day tomorrow. I keep repeating the same mistakes. I did them all before, in every shape. There's a million ways to mess things up.
And even though there are some upper apartments too, we had the swimming pool to ourselves the entire stay.
Make our troubles disappear. Oh, tomorrow's near. It's gonna be okay, no matter come what may. I'm gonna set things straight tomorrow. Let all our worries fade, let them sweep away. There'll be another day.
Time to explore this holiday town that we've heard so many good things about. It's most famous for some of the best restaurants in Sri Lanka, with great local cuisine, good vibes and a relaxed beachside setting. I can recommend Townhouse for the incredible curry plates.
Okay, let all my troubles go away tomorrow. It's gonna be okay, no matter come what may. I'm gonna set things straight tomorrow. Let all our worries fade, let them sweep away. There'll be another day tomorrow. It's gonna be okay, no matter come what may. I'm gonna set things straight tomorrow. Let all the worries fade, let them sweep away. There'll be another.
Today we visit the biggest beach in Ahangama, which is called Kabalana Beach. It's very popular with surfers and it has that relaxed surfing kind of vibe. There are nice restaurants for food and there are some cool bars for drinks, so spending a day here is no punishment at all.
For the short distances we mostly take tuk-tuks. They're often cheaper when you use the Pick Me app too.
Ahangama only recently got discovered by the bigger crowds, and before that it was this sleepy little surfers town, known as the surfers paradise of Sri Lanka to the surfer community. Nowadays there are other tourists too, but the town still manages to remain very cool and relaxed, and it has that surfing kind of vibe. I love it.
Ahangama, and especially Kabalana Beach, is known for the world-class surfing, with very consistent waves, a clean beach and schools for beginners as well. It's a great beach for kids too. Oh, and adults who love building sandcastles, like Uncle Alex over here. When you visit Kabelana, don't miss out on Sisters, the most relaxed lunch hangout near the beach, famous for freshly baked Turkish bread with all kinds of Sri Lankan spreads. Like the rest of Sri Lanka, it's a zoo out here. Driving back to the villa, we get a nice little preview of another Sri Lankan phenomenon. We'll be traveling by train too later, because this country has some of the best scenic and historic train rides in the world.
If there's one thing that's very special about Sri Lanka, it's the amount of animals that we can spot over here. And we already experienced this in the first video, because at the end of every day I see a bunch of monkeys, 2 different kinds, climbing around the rooftops of our hotel and the neighborhood. And today I decided to follow them.
The first kind of monkey that we see a lot is called the tokmakak. They are quite the sight as they scurry around the area looking for food. The other one is a so-called Old World monkey known as the grey langur. It's a bit of a shy but beautiful creature and considered a sacred animal in the Hindu culture. Another place I would like to show you in Ahangama is Ceylon Sliders, at the main beach in town. It's the best place for burgers and a romantic sunset.
Today it's sunny and it's time to explore some of the neighborhood with some cultural sites, because close to Ahangama we'll find a city with some Dutch history. Let's go!
In 40 minutes we drive the South Coast towards the west for the major site of South Sri Lanka. There is already lots to see on the way before we enter the historic gate to a fortified city.
Today we pay a visit to the town of Galle. And Galle is one of the biggest cities in South Sri Lanka, but it also used to be a very important colonial town in the history. It was a Dutch settlement on their trading route to the east between 1640 and 1796. So over here we can find a lot of old buildings from that time. And cannons. The biggest attraction in the town of Galle is of course the Galle Fort. With the big walls and inside we can find all the beautiful old buildings. It was first built by the Portuguese in 1588 and later it was rebuilt by the Dutch in the 17th century. Nowadays it's all UNESCO World Heritage and it's the largest remaining fortress in all of Asia. So it's very special and especially for me as a Dutchman.
Because the name was given by the Portuguese in 1505, the name Galle could have derived from Gallo, meaning rooster. On the other hand, in Sinhalese, Gala means rock, and the British would later refer to the town as Galle.
You don't worry about your health, but you do fear being left alone. You may double your guards, but no one really knows about your house of cards that the wind blows.
From the main fortress you can actually walk the entire wall around the old city of Galle. The popular walk is only about 3 kilometers and it takes you back to a time when Galle was the Dutch capital of Sri Lanka and a crucial hub for trading spices from Asia to Europe.
I was always by your side, and it's time to set it straight.
With the drone we can see just how big and well preserved the old city is. The walls have 14 bastions facing seaward, providing strategic advantages against naval attacks.
I see your every flaw, I see your home made out of straw while the wind blows.
The famous clock tower overlooks the central moon bastion, and from here we can walk into town to explore more historical sites.
A secret well kept, but everyone knows. You try to keep it so still, but the wind blows.
Located near the entrance of the old fortress is the Dutch Reformed Church, and we call this de Grote Kerk in Dutch. It was built in 1755 and with that it's one of the oldest churches in entire Sri Lanka, and it's also still in use. Also very interesting, inside they buried some former Dutch colonists from the East Indian Trading Company, and we can read their tombstones because it's all written in Dutch. Let's have a look inside.
Right beside me as I was doing the presentation, we spot this Bengal monitor lizard, busily digging for something. What a beauty!
I'm looking at the site where we all used to get high. It's easy to recall those nights. Now I'm at the horizon, trying to make up my mind. Should I move on or look back this time? I'm scared of the unknown.
In the church, we check out the Dutch tombstones and sit down to breathe in the ancient history.
Thinking I will rise up someday when it all will make sense in my mind. Oh, but I'm lost. Still feel like a child who's got forever. But it's now or never. Ooh, I know it's so hard to find what I'm all about. I'm thinking of the places where I will never go. They belong to another goal. Yeah, but I can see all the faces in my mind. They start to show and tell me to keep.
On this hot day, we stop for some ice cream before we explore more of the Dutch little streets.
I don't know what it's hiding for us. I'm lost, thinking I will rise up.
The Dutch period in Sri Lanka developed architecture, infrastructure, legal systems and healthcare. And that's why today the Netherlands and Sri Lanka still have a good relationship, protecting the cultural heritage together.
But it's now or never. Ooh, I know it's so hard to find what I'm all about.
Galle was taken over by the British in 1796 and they built the beautiful lighthouse behind me in 1848. It's not a Dutch building, but it is beautiful and in fact the oldest of all the lighthouses in Sri Lanka.
Started to find what I'm all about. I'm lost, thinking I will rise up someday when it all will make sense in my mind. Ooh, but I'm lost. I still feel like a child who's got forever. But it's now or never. Ooh, I know it's so hard to find what I'm all about. We're chasing the easy life.
Next to the lighthouse is one of the most iconic beaches in entire Sri Lanka, mostly used by the locals. In 1936, the 25-meter structure was destroyed by a fire, but it was restored in 1939, and it's still operating today.
We're chasing the sun tonight. We're chasing the easy life. Easy life.
Right next to the most famous symbol of Galle, we also see the Miran Jama Mosque, built in 1904.
let's go and grab a drink at VOC Café, Verenigde Oost-Indische Compagnie Café. It's the name of the East Indian Trade Company of the Netherlands. Some history for the Dutch.
Walking back over the western wall, we complete our walk around the fort, with still many astonishing views on the way. After a church and a mosque, we can also add a Buddhist temple to the collection.
That's it for our little day trip in Galle. We saw the most beautiful buildings and we walked around the city walls. And now it's time to go back to the hotel because there's much more to explore in Sri Lanka and there's no time to waste.
Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Be free. Be free with me. Be free.
We enjoy some time in this peaceful little haven that only costed us 30 bucks a night. But not for long, because the next adventure awaits.
Be free with me. Yeah, let's go. Be free with me. Oh, come on and let's go. Let's be free.
Our driver picks us up again to drive the coast for another 20 kilometers to the east.
Be free. Be free. Be free with me.
Today it's time to visit the most popular beach town on the south coast of Sri Lanka, and this is Mirissa. It was about a 30-minute drive from our hotel. There are some great highlights in the area, so let's have a nice day here in Mirissa.
This is a good a day as any to start the rebuilding of life. The roads that lay open are many.
We parked the van up in the hills, and from there we have a tuk-tuk transfer that felt more like a roller coaster ride.
I can feel the sun on my skin.
In a beautiful area, we make our way over steep hills to a hidden beach.
Today and not tomorrow, there's no time to borrow. Today is a good day to live.
One of the most beautiful beaches we can find around Mirissa is called Secret Beach because it's very secluded and it was kind of hard to get here. With the tuk-tuks up the mountain, then down through the bushes to the beach. It's not that secret anymore because people have discovered it over the years, but it's still one of the most amazing beaches you can find on the south coast, especially near Mirissa. Look at it.
This is truly the best beach in all of Sri Lanka, as the rocks have created a cozy little blue lagoon and the tropical surroundings are stunning.
Today and not tomorrow, there's no time to borrow. Today, well, something's gotta give. Today is a good day. Today and not tomorrow, there's no time to borrow.
The south coast of Sri Lanka is one of the best travel destinations in the world, but I recommend you to go in the dry season, from December to April. You might even spot whales in that season too. From the capital Colombo, you'll be here in 2.5 hours.
Tomorrow, there's no time to borrow. Today, well, something's gotta give. Today is a good day. Today.
We spent the morning in this natural pool, next to a cozy bar that has affordable drinks and food. It is perfect for kids, sheltered from the large surf waves of the South Coast.
Well, something's gotta give. Today is a good day. Today is a good day. Today is a good day today.
Hey guys, it's Secret Beach, so don't tell anyone. Huh?
Time to ride that roller coaster again, to see the other side of Mirissa. And from a hidden spot, we now go to the most popular photo spot of Sri Lanka.
Close to Mirissa, we find one of the most popular spots in all of Sri Lanka. And you will find it on many photographs on the internet, because this is the Instagram spot of all the people going to Sri Lanka. Coconut Tree Hill behind me. It's a beautiful hill looking out over the ocean with a lot of coconut trees. We're gonna take a picture too, of course.
Okay, we have to admit, there's a reason that this spot is so popular. The setting is very typical for the Sri Lankan South Coast and the views are insane here. Mirissa has always been the largest fishing port of Sri Lanka and it's known for its tuna, snapper and butterfish. In 2004 it was heavily ravaged by the tsunami. But tourism came back even stronger. Like most beach towns, Mirissa is merely a busy main road along the best beaches. We now visit the center beach.
This is Mirissa and it's been discovered years ago for the tourism. It's great for relaxing, it's great for swimming. There are nice restaurants and hotels where most of the other towns are mainly for surfing. So over here you have the Parrot Rock. I'm standing at Mirissa Beach,
which is beautifully situated around the biggest surfing bay of the area.
And of course I'm gonna take a look from above with the drone.
Even though this is one of the busiest places in all of Sri Lanka and we are here in the best season around March, it's not overcrowded at all. As the kids enjoy building another sandcastle, the waves are wonderful for a refreshing dive today. And this is also the perfect place for lunch at one of the many beachside restaurants. The monkeys are of course back at the hotel for their daily food hunt. And they aren't alone this time.
Thank God that we get to visit so many beautiful places around Sri Lanka. But thank God a little more for creating swimming pools. Because it's bloody hot and I'm going in. Oh, and thank God for lion. It goes very well with swimming pools.
That's it, unfortunately, for this incredible episode on the south coast of Sri Lanka. I'm saying unfortunately, but it's actually pretty nice. We're going to have a safari on the east side of Sri Lanka. A driver's gonna pick us up after breakfast and we're exchanging the beach for the jungle. So I'll see you in the next one in Sri Lanka.
Be sure to tune in next time as we stay in a jungle camp surrounded by wild animals.
About to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know.
The adventure is only just beginning. Subscribe and always travel along. Ciao!
In action, what we can be. Life with no distractions, we'll get away. This is what we waited for.